Hey Ravens flock, happy Purple Friday. It's Mills RX here in the Ravens Minute Clinic with the Week 7 flock checkup. Now, we have a big divisional matchup against the Cleveland Browns, who are kind of sputtering in a way, but the AFC North is wide open. Anyone can claim it at any time. The Ravens and the Bengals are looking like they could potentially are in the best position to win it, but we can't take any game. I mean, any game for granted, especially with the records so close together and with the amount of injuries we have. And we got horrible news about J.K. Dobbins, which I'll get into a little bit later. But it's just, will we ever truly be healthy? I mean, it's like sometimes it becomes a bad joke how many people get injured, but it's a part of the game when you have like a gladiator sport like this that um so just injuries are a part of it. Now, the Browns boast one of the top rushing duos in the league in Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I believe they're top 10 in rushing, and Kareem Hunt is potentially the best number two running back in the league. He's an excellent receiver out of the backfield, very dynamic with the ball in his hands, and Nick Chubb has run for 100 yards over his past three games, and he's looking like the runaway favorite for the rushing title right now because no one has been able to stop them, even if they stack the box. Now, the Browns have been dealing with some injuries to their offensive line and to their defensive line, so they're kind of ailing in the trenches, and we may have some pieces coming back, which is very good for us, especially going up against a very strong opponent, like I said, like the Browns. So let's go ahead and get into the flock checkup to see who is going to be playing and who won't be playing for both the Ravens and the Browns in this game. Okay, so we're going to start with the Ravens injury report, and before we start, I want to apologize to you all. Thursday, I released my projected injury report, and I had information, but it was only half of the information, and I was just going off of what I would normally have seen in the ER or what I would normally see in urgent care, but I had a lot of our players out, but they had returned today, and it appears that the injuries they had were more mild and wouldn't have kept them out of this game. So once again, I want to apologize for that. I am still learning. I still have to, you know, get more polished in the whole reporting side of this if I want to be a good medical correspondent or injury analyst for you all. I'm still growing in this, and it's so great. Thank you so much for staying with me as I grow through this and as I get better. But let's go ahead and get into the report. The actives is Ronnie Stanley. He's been practicing. His reps have been getting more and more and more reps, and he's looking more comfortable in here. I have not heard anything about a left tackle by committee, but if it is, expect a mix of Stanley Makari and maybe even Daniel Faalele. Um, Now, earlier in the week, and what had a lot of people worried was Lamar Jackson was having some hip problems, and it was mainly some tightness in the hip flexor muscles that are in your upper part of your thigh, known as the iliac and the psoas major. Those two muscles, they help you. Said they pull both your trunk. Said they pull both your trunk and your thigh. It holds those two together. They connect those two when you walk, run, sit, or stand. So these are very important muscles. And he was feeling a little tightness in those two, what I believe, and that is what was causing him to miss the early portions of the practices. And as Jeff Zerebrick was monitoring, and what he was reporting that. Lamar was missing the early part of the practice, and then the Jameson Henley was saying he was getting stretched out and he was getting some physical therapy possibly some doing some flexor stretches that would help relieve the tension in those muscles. But Lamar, he said that he's fine. He's been removed from the injury report. He is expected to play, and he probably will start. Once again, Jason Pierre-Paul just rest. He was resting up, no injuries there. Justice Hill, he returns from the hamstring strain, 3 full practices, so it'll be good to have him. Calais Campbell, he was dealing with a foot contusion that he had suffered, and he was just really sore, some inflammation, but he was able to come back, and he has been removed from the thing. Just some rest and getting that foot back to where it needs to be. He's been removed from the injury report. He is a full go. Um, and now I've and if you go back to my original projections, I had a lot of the people who were out, but they were actually updated to questionable because a lot of them returned. The biggest one being Mark Andrews, who was our leading receiver. He was having some knee problems, and there was a lot of information out there. It was most likely it was a grade 1 knee injury, but it was just a knee bruise. He was dealing with some soreness and actually some inflammation right behind the knee joint, right behind his kneecap. But it was able to reduce, and it was able to reduce. And of course, John Harbaugh gave him the first 2 days off. He needed some rest, and so they were rest days, but he was also dealing with this knee bruise. So he was questioned. He's questionable. Could play, still couldn't play. So we'll see. But I expect him to be game time decision. Rashad Bateman, wide receiver one. Yeah, he has returned to practice from the Liz Frank injury. Now, me personally, I would not play him. I wouldn't. He's questionable, and even Rashad Bateman spoke to I believe Jeff Sharebrick, and he said the decision on whether he plays obviously is going to fall to Coach Harbaugh. If I was Coach Harbaugh, I would hold him out. He needed a week to just acclimate back to practice speed. So and it's too early to just let him to dump him back into game speeds. So I wouldn't play him, but he is potentially will play. He'll be a game time decision. I guess Ben Cleveland returned to practice this week. Earlier this week, he's been dealing with a foot sprain that held him out for 2 weeks, and he was able to get a couple of limited sessions in. He's a coin flip, so expect him if he does go, he'll provide some backups at some much needed depth on our offensive line, specifically at the guard spots. Justin Houston, he returned back from that adductor strain. Now he had partially torn one of the adductor muscles. One of the biggest one is either the adductor longus or the adductor magnus, or maybe even the brevis. These are some major adductor muscles in your groin region, and whenever you twist, whenever you walk, whenever you activate your core, you're using those adductor muscles, so they are very important. And he severely injured one, or moderately injured them, which is why he was out for 3 games. Morgan Moses, he got injured last game, and he was dealing with a left heel sprain. Now, it was not the Achilles. It was not the Achilles tendon, but it wasn't. But it was the calcaneus tendon, which is a little below the tendon. Say if this was your heel. Say if this is your say this is my wrist. Say my wrist. If my wrist was your heel, you have the Achilles tendon right here that runs all the way right up here. And there's a small area like right above it called the calcaneus area. And it's called the calcaneus tendon, like right here, right above the thing. Right here. That one. That one was hyperextended. So that one was the problem. So that was the problem. And he returned. So he'll be a game time decision. Hopefully he'll play, but I expect him to be held out. Now, Marcus Peters, he actually re-injured the same quad muscle that he had strained before, and he still played that game. And it was just So yeah, he strained the quad muscle, and will he play? I really can't tell you. I don't know. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But he'll definitely be a game time decision. Patrick Ricard, he was dealing with a knee bruise as well. He did not practice earlier in the week, but he did return to practice today for a full session, which made him questionable. The reason why I thought he would be out because I was looking at it, I was like, he's dealing with a knee bruise, and it's obviously causing him a lot of pain. He could have been resting, so he could have been resting, and but he did come back with a full session, and so he's going to be game time. So pretty much everybody here in the questionable. We have so many questionable people. We had 13 total people on the injury report this week, and we had 5 new injuries from last week. And it's just laughable sometimes. But all of these people right here, all of the players right here in the questionable, just consider them game time decisions. And now, like I had mentioned, we had got just some terrible news about J.K. Dobbins. Watch, you can if you watched Engraven Vid's video about the up, and he provided the update on that. And Adam Schefter. Adam Schefter had reported that J.K. Dobbins is going to miss 4 to 6 weeks because he's going to have arthroscopic knee surgery on his left knee. Now, this is the same knee where he tore his ACL, his LCL, and also severely damaged his hamstring and also his lateral meniscus. Now, this could be, in my estimation, this could be one of two things. It could be a grade 2 or grade 3 MCL sprain, which means he would need MCL reconstruction. Yeah, even sorry, 1 second, 1 second. There we go. Grammar. Oh, go back. Oh, there we go. Grammar. Sorry. It could be one of two things. It could be one of two things. It could be he could need MCL reconstruction for a partial tear of his MCL. That's one possibility, but the most likely thing is I believe he'll have a dual procedure, a partial meniscectomy and a knee cartilage debridement procedure. What does that mean? All that means is the meniscectomy. When you see ectomy in medicine, that means a removal. So basically, they're going to remove the damaged part of the meniscus, the cartilage that also is that the cartilage that is damaged, that's bruised, that it's not providing it's not distributing the weight of the femur on the tibia right here in between those two. It's like there's some damage to that one. Potentially he rehurt the lateral meniscus or damage that again. And this is really, and as I mentioned in my training room with J.K. Dobbins, every time you have a meniscus injury, every time you have surgery, you lose a big chunk of your meniscus. And this is his second meniscus surgery in 2 years. He lost a lot of meniscus in the first surgery, and now he's having another one to potentially remove damaged meniscus too. So that's that's just not good. And also the knee cartilage debridement surgery. Now, when you see this term right here, debridement, think of like when they say a clean out. When they say a clean out surgery, they're cleaning out all the dead tissue and stuff like that, all the dead cartilage and stuff like that. Like I said, think Raheem Mostert. Raheem Mostert had a knee cartilage injury. And they're probably removing the articular cartilage that I showed you that is lubricating right. That's lubricating right behind the knee cap or the patella. Probably that cartilage is being removed, and that's 4 to 6 weeks. But also, Engraven Vid said in his video, it could potentially go up to 6 to 8 weeks. So if I were to see this, if I'm seeing this and I'm looking at the MRI, and I showed you what an MCL sprain looked like in the training room. But if I see the cartilage damage right there, I'm of course after he has that, I'm holding him out 8 weeks. We have to be very, very careful with J.K. Dobbins. That knee will never be the same. he has had 2 major knee surgeries on that in 2 years. He has potentially torn 3, if it is an MCL, if he does the MCL reconstruction, he has potentially torn 3 of the big 4 ligaments in that left knee. That left knee will never be the same. It will be lucky if he can get it back to 70% of what it is. It's just a really big blow for him, and really sad because he was looking good when he was coming back. We only have 1 player out right now, J.K. Dobbins, and he's going to be out for a while. Expect him to go to IR. He's going to be on IR for a while. Now let's look at the Browns injury report. Now, here's the thing. They have a lot of people on, 2 people in the concussion protocol. We saw earlier that offensive guard Wyatt Teller that he was dealing with a left calf injury. Even the Browns beat reporter Mary Kay Cabot, very good reporter. She had originally broke the story that he was dealing with a left calf injury. Now, is it a strain? It could be strain, but it's big enough that it's serious enough that will keep him out. That will keep him out of the game. So that's a big. Said I believe he's their left guard. That's a big piece of their life because I believe they have Batonio on the right and Wyatt Teller on the left. I believe. Also, one of their number 1 corner, Denzel Ward, remains in concussion protocol. He's been in concussion protocol for about 2 weeks now, 2 or 3 weeks. So, yep. And also, their backup offensive tackle Joe Haig is also in concussion protocol. So those 3 are out. So big hits, 2 big hits to their offensive line, and also they'll be without their number 1 corner. But they could be getting some people back. I'll talk about that a little bit later too. And questionable to return is Myles Garrett, their all-star, their all-pro pass rusher. Now, he was dealing with a left shoulder strain and also bicep lacerations that he had got from that car crash in week 4, which held him out. But now, from what I'm hearing, they're saying it's all systems go for him. He may be on a pitch count, but he expects Myles Garrett to play. Jadeveon Clowney is in the full body cast at this moment. He has an ankle injury. He has a knee injury. He has an elbow injury. And he was dealing with a hand injury, and he just recently got a hand injury too. He's been in the full body cast for a while, but word is he'll be a game time decision, which would not be good because even if banged up, this is the pass rush that most concerns me. In the thing. Now we saw Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard do relatively well against Lamar, but they are nowhere near the unworldly athleticism of Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney. These guys are rare pass rushers, and if they're both playing, one coming off both edges, Lamar could be boxed in, and those running lanes would disappear in a heartbeat. And also their right tackle Jack Conklin is dealing with an ankle sprain. Now he could go. We'll have to wait and see. He is a game time. He could be a game time decision. So yep, that's the Browns injury report. Now let's look at a lot of moves. Ravens and Browns made a lot of moves because of so many injuries. Now, of course, the big news of the week: we signed Deshaun Jackson to the practice squad. We also signed outside linebacker Devon Kennard to the practice squad, and also linebacker Julian Stanford to the practice squad. We have released linebacker Jeremiah Atauchu and also wide receiver Slade Bolden. And we also reinstated Charlie Kolar, who was coming back from sports hernia surgery from injured reserve, and he entered into the 21-day practice window, and he has been looking good, relatively good. So reinforcements may be coming. Now, I haven't heard anything about Deshaun Jackson being activated. Now, that could change because they have until Saturday at 4 p.m. to do so. And potentially, if Rashad Bateman doesn't go, I expect Deshaun Jackson to be activated and maybe act as the deep threat to take the top off of that back end because the Brown secondary is ailing but they may get some help back because they have reinstated Greedy Williams from injured reserve, so he could help. They also promoted another one of their younger cornerbacks, Herb Miller, and also wide receiver and kick returner Chester Rogers also has been sent to the active roster just for a little bit of depth. Two, they also signed Dakota Allen on the 18th. They released him they waived him on the 19th, and then they re-signed him yesterday. But he's back on the practice squad, so they may break him up, and they release safety Richard LeCount from their practice squad. So, yep, those are all the injuries that are dealing with just terrible news about J.K. Dobbins. Did we rush him back? Possibly, because a major knee injury like that needs at least a year to come back. It's a need at least a year post surgery. We bought him back about 4 to 6 months after that. He probably needed another year. Who knows? But we could potentially get him back for the playoffs or toward the end of the season. But fully expect 8 weeks. It says 4 to 6 weeks, but fully expect a full 8 weeks. So that's the week 7 flock report. Um, thank you so much. Thank you so much for supporting my channel, for supporting Game Medicine, for supporting the Ravens Medical. Thank you all so much for tuning in. If you like this content, leave a like down below. Send me your comments, questions, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. And thank you all so much for being some of the greatest fans ever. Once again, Mills RX. Thank you. Have a nice weekend.